All right, so I'm just going to hop right into it. We now know from recent scientific satellite study they have discovered 5 chambers inside the pyramid at ground level that replicate exactly the king's chamber found inside the pyramid. So, starting at the base of the pyramid, you have these 5 horizontal identical lines, and each one of these horizontal structures are connected in a geometric pathway. And inside each one of these structures are 5 different levels with sloping roofs. And it keeps going from there. Beneath these 5 structures, we have 8 cylindrical structures that appear to be hollow with some type of material wrapped around each one of them. And they don't know if it's some type of, maybe a staircase going down, or like a winding staircase you would find like in an older building perhaps, or some type of coil, maybe used to conduct electricity or some type of plumbing. I mean, we just simply don't know at this point. Then you have these 8 cylinders resting on top of 2 massive cubes, 4 on the left and 4 on the right. Meaning 4 cylinders on the left connected to one cube and 4 cylinders on the right connected to a separate tube. I mean, this is just incredible. And this to me is the most amazing part in my opinion. The cylinders are 2,000 feet deep. That's taller than the height of the actual pyramid itself. Way taller, in fact. Now, I've heard conflicting information on the depth, but either way, they are incredibly deep. Based on my own research and reading the actual scientific papers, it is my understanding that they're about 400 meters deep. Okay, we're talking about these cylindrical objects going down. But either way, it's still over 1,300 feet deep. The Empire State Building, I believe it's around 1,454 feet tall, including the spire and antenna, and 1,250 feet tall to the top of the building. So very tall. Regardless, if it's 400 meters or 800 meters, it is incredibly deep. And according, again, to the scientific papers that I read, it was 400 meters deep. And again, as I think I mentioned, both of the cubes are approximately 80 by 80 meters. Okay, so look, the pyramid itself is, I think, approximately like 450 feet tall, somewhere in that neighborhood. And the people responsible for this discovery, they don't believe this is anything ritualistic, right? We know there's a lot of that there in this beautiful part of the world. And one of the many theories is it's something mechanical. Okay, I've always long believed that. Or that the cubes beneath the surface is where the energy is being stored, like some type of generator or battery, something of that nature. Maybe the Tesla coil. I know we've all heard of that. And underneath all of that, like if that wasn't amazing enough, underneath all of that new beautiful discovery, we have connecting tunnels going underneath the middle pyramid of Giza, of the Giza Plateau. According to these scans, there is a mass network of underground tunnels. And look, guys, doesn't it feel good to be vindicated, right? Doesn't it feel great? We've been saying this for years. Okay, just to kind of slow down here just a little bit, let me just kind of paint the picture for you. You have the pyramid, right? At ground level, we now have these 5 chambers that are basically equivalent or like the king's chamber. Okay, now underneath that, you have 8 hollow cylindrical tubes going down with some type of coil wrapped around them, going down either 400, 800 kilometers, a very long way down beneath the earth, and they stop at these 2 cubes that are 80 by 80 meters, and beneath that you have a network of tunnels. I mean, just how crazy is it? It almost sounds unbelievable. And don't worry, we're going to get to, the questions that I have, and maybe perhaps some debunking here in just a little bit. Now, a team of scientists from Italy have been using satellite scans called SARS for quite some time now. In fact, NASA published a paper on it a few years ago, and I can post that below. This is a satellite-based technology that does not require any on-site work. Okay, so this is not, you don't even have to be there in order to do this. This was an independent project from a couple of years ago, but the researchers working on this project said the world would know about this March 15th, and boy, did we. March 15th, we certainly knew. And, the beautiful thing about this is there is no permit needed, no permission needed. Okay. There's no red tape, no politics, nothing from the antiquity authorities or the Giza politicians or the government or archaeologists or whatever, right? This is a satellite based tech that can be used in other scientific fields, and it has been. So it's just an awesome way to get to the truth. I mean, I would call it, scanning for the truth. I mean, right? The Pyramids of Giza, scanning for the truth. Okay. Anyway, but look, this is the first time it has been used at the Pyramids of Giza. We always knew there was something more, right? I've talked about it right here on a Nocturnal News. We've talked about the Great Hall of Records, tunnels, chambers, hidden rooms, all kinds of things. But now we know for just an irrefutable fact, and by the way, how dare the powers that be hide this from the world? We know for a fact that there is something definitely there. And what an incredible discovery. Probably, I would say, the most important scientific discovery of our lives. And how many times did we hear scientists and archaeologists tell us there's nothing there, nothing to see, go home, take your ball and go home? Or we've discovered everything and the biggest discoveries have already been made, just like the UFO topic, just like Roswell. It was just another lie, another cover up. I don't think that there's no way that they, the powers that be, didn't know about this. Okay, to me, in my mind, that is absolutely laughable. And by the way, on a side note, I think they need to scan Antarctica. Just imagine what they would find. But anyway, moving forward. Okay, this is not like a made-up hoax. It's not fake, okay? They have promised we will get, a complete scientific confirmation of everything they claim, and that is music to my ears, absolute music. Basically, they're saying we will bring the receipts. We already have brought the receipts, really, because everything they say is a scientific fact, according to them. But, I mean, not everything is just rock solid, and again, we'll get into that. And there's already been a few really in-depth studies on this anomaly, and so far, I haven't really seen any other explanation that was not an opinion-based or speculation debunking this, okay? And I would like to try myself, okay? Because look, these major discoveries, you have to put them under a magnifying glass, you have to scrutinize them, and just pick them apart, okay? That is our job. Okay, so what is it and what do we know so far? I will tell you what I've discovered through my own research, but something like this will take years. Okay, I've only been looking into this for a few days, years in study, but here's what I know so far, and what I tell you today is subject to change based on new information, because I know how it goes. I say things on YouTube here, and then things change, and people call me out. So, of course, you guys are familiar with the Pyramid of Giza. It has long been speculated there was much more to the pyramids than just a pile of rocks with some tunnels, chambers, and maybe a few mysteries tied to it. So again, there are 8 massive cylindrical pillars going underneath the pyramid, approximately 1.2 miles, half a mile. Either way, very deep. They end at 2 separate cubes, we'll call them, these monolithic structures, and these cylinders going down, they have some type of coil or maybe a staircase, we don't know, wrapping around them, almost like all the components you would need to make, I don't know, maybe like a Baghdad battery, got a little bit tongue-tied there, or perhaps like the Tesla coil, maybe, I'm just throwing out ideas. Now, as I, mentioned earlier, one concern I have, okay, I don't understand how they would know these cylinders go 1.2 miles, half a mile, whatever, under the ground, when the scanning technology, SAR, according to what I found, cannot go that deep. At least, again, that's what I heard someone say, that's what I was reading earlier. Talking about how deep these scans can go underground. But regardless of how deep they can or can't go, it's really up to like scientific debate. Soil conditions, is it moist? Is there clouds? Again, this is satellite, technology coming down, kind of like LiDAR perhaps, but a lot higher in low Earth orbit. So there's a lot of debate on that. But regardless, where the scientific pendulum swings and who's right and who's wrong, they found something. They found something incredible, something amazing, and we've been told for decades that There's nothing to see. We've discovered everything. You guys remember the Egyptian authorities, the antiquities authorities. I've made tons of videos about this. They've told us for decades and eons, like Roswell and other incidents, that we've discovered all we're going to discover. Take your ball and go home. Okay, so what is this technology? Again, it is called SAR. It is synthetic aperture radar. It basically uses sound waves and vibrations to create a very high resolution image. I mean, I think it would be similar to LiDAR. I'm no expert, but that's my own opinion. And the same scientists already concluded their previous study back in 2022 of the Pyramids of Giza. But in March, again, March 15th, 2025, we now have the results for the Khafre Pyramid. As I mentioned in my previous video, I was wondering, how can this technology penetrate, 2 kilometers under the ground? So, of course, what did I do? I went to a channel. I'll leave a link below, and he did a great job at explaining this. I'm just screen recording right here. The channel is Project Unity. He was, I think, one of the original guys that wrote the story. And I'm just going to read his transcript because he did a beautiful job at breaking this down. He said there's been a lot of critiques, and I mean a lot of critiques, including coming from mainstream media and the mainstream academic sector, about direct EM penetrating and ground penetrating radar. How there is no ground penetrating radar that can go 2 kilometers into the rock, and that's absolutely right. But that's not, okay, let's zoom in there, that is not what's being claimed by the team. The team is not claiming the SAR technology. Okay, that's minute mark 144, which stands for synthetic aperture radar. They're not claiming the SAR is penetrating 2 kilometers of rock. Instead, their method proposes that SAR technology is detecting secondary surface, I think it's, he said deteriorations right there, caused by deep mechanical resonance, not direct M wave reflections. They're picking up on resonance coming from underground structures and measuring the acoustic resonance that reverberation. It's not penetrating deep into the ground, it's penetrating quite shallow into the ground, which is typical. Okay, so I'm understanding this. Okay, typical for these systems, picks up on acoustic and reverberatory energy that uses that to model what could be underneath the ground, causing these reverberations. SAR technology already measured surface deformations within millimeter scale. Okay, I mean, this is just some good stuff here, guys. Okay, and I was about to upload my video and I wanted to include this. Okay, precision using interferometric techniques, also known as INSAR. That's how we monitor earthquake zones and volcanic inflation. If there were deep voids beneath the Giza Plateau, which are resonating the surface, could experience these subtle periodic displacements like detectable energy that would be picked. Okay, I don't know where he goes there. The phrase sensitive Doppler process, so SAR doesn't actually need to penetrate the rock directly. It just needs to detect surface effects caused by subsurface resonance. He says, right, so anything that's below the ground that's a large structure, especially, and we're going to get into the reasons why the Giza Plateau might be one of the most interesting places in the entire world to find this type of anomaly. Okay, so I like this. Okay, he's saying, based on this technology, they're not claiming that they're going, 1.5 or 2 miles, kilometers, whatever, underground. That based on their models, they can calculate that that's how far it goes. And I know that, I watched a little bit of their presentation, the Italian scientists, and they gave other examples around the world, how they can figure this out and come up with a pretty firm scientific conclusion that what their instrument, the satellite, the SAR, is providing them. All right, so in closing, yes, there's going to be a lot of rigorous debate about this new discovery. There always is, and there needs to be, and this needs to be scrutinized. It needs to be put under a microscope, analyzed extraordinary claims require extraordinary proof. We know this. So, and I'm happy to do it. So again, I'm going to be posting several videos about this. I'm fairly new to this particular topic here, so, try not to be too hard on me. I'm learning with you, okay? I'm not teaching you. We're learning together, and that's the point of my channel. I don't claim to be an expert or some reliable source. I mean, I try to be very factual about everything that I bring to you guys, but I do make mistakes along the way. So, in my opinion, this is something amazing, regardless of what it is or is not, because we were told for years that there was nothing there, nothing to see here. Just go home, basically, right? I mean, how many times did we see these studies being done underneath the pyramid, and the Egyptian authorities, the antiquities, and all these different authorities, these agencies, oh, no, there's nothing here, you guys are crazy, you're conspiracy theorists, and blah, 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 blah. And now we know that is simply not true, and it feels good. I'd like to see this same, discovery applied to places like Roswell and Antarctica. So, all right, guys, leave a comment below. Let me know what you think. Follow us on Twitter, X rather. We're on Rumble. We are on Instagram. We are on TikTok. We are absolutely everywhere. In fact, I'm going to work on a TikTok video right after this. So, all right, guys, I will see you on the next one.